Let me tell you something dealers will never say to your face. There are SUVs out there pushing 300,000 miles, and their owners flat out refuse to sell them. Not because they can't use the money, but because they know damn well they can't replace what they've got for anywhere near that price. Meanwhile, your neighbor just lost $28,000 in 3 years on an SUV that looked great on the window sticker. Real money, gone, not a typo. And here's the thing, the difference has nothing to do with the badge on the hood, nothing to do with the price tag. It comes down to what's actually underneath that hood. The engineering decisions that most salespeople can't explain, and most buyers never think to ask about. Today, I'm breaking all of that down. No fluff, no brand loyalty. Just cold hard data from iSeeCars, Consumer Reports, and the guys on Reddit's Mechanic Advice, who've actually turned wrenches on these things for decades. But before we get into it, drop a comment right now. What are you driving? And how many miles are on it? I want to see if your ride made this list. And if it did, you're going to find out exactly why. You're sitting on something worth keeping forever. All right, This is not a list of the prettiest SUVs. This is not a list of the ones with the best infotainment system or the fanciest ambient lighting. This is a list of survivors. Every single vehicle on this list was selected using real data. iSeeCars. Longevity reports tracking which models actually reach 200,000 plus miles, Consumer Reports. Predicted reliability scores, J.D. Power dependability studies, and years of real owner feedback from Reddit's Mechanic Advice and Cars communities. 3 criteria got a vehicle on this list. First, a statistically high percentage of units reaching 200,000 miles or beyond. Second, average annual maintenance costs that won't drain your bank account. Third, parts availability, meaning your local shop can fix it without ordering something from overseas and waiting 3 weeks. If an SUV cleared all 3 bars, it's on this list. If it didn't, it doesn't matter. How good it looks on the dealership floor. Number 10, Subaru Forester 2014 to today. Let's be honest up front, Subaru used to have a real problem. The older models, we're talking pre-2014, had head gasket issues that became almost a running joke. In the mechanic community, forums were full of it, and that reputation stuck around longer than it deserved to. But here's what Subaru actually did. Starting with the 2014 redesign, they switched to a timing chain, set up and fixed the cooling system architecture that caused most of those failures. The modern Forester is a genuinely different machine. The Boxer engine, where cylinders sit horizontally instead of upright, lowers the center of gravity and reduces vibration across the entire drivetrain over time. Less vibration means less stress on every connected component. Simple physics, massive long-term payoff. Add Subaru's symmetrical, all-wheel drive system, which has been battle-tested for decades, across snow, mud, and everything in between, and you've got a daily driver that quietly racks up miles without drama. According to iSeeCars data, the Forester consistently ranks among the top 10% of vehicles most likely to reach 200,000 miles. It's not flashy. It doesn't need to be. Number 9, Honda Pilot, 2016 to 2022. 3 rows, a 3.5-liter V6, and one of the most boring, beautiful reliability records in the entire SUV segment. Here's the key engineering insight that most buyers miss. The V6 in the 3rd-generation Pilot was designed with significantly more headroom than suburban school runs, and highway commutes will ever demand from it. When an engine operates consistently below its stress threshold, it lasts. Full stop. Honda also made a supply chain decision that paid off enormously for owners. The Pilot shares its engine, transmission, and core components with the Odyssey minivan and the Ridgeline pickup. That means these parts were produced by the tens of millions. Any design flaws got identified fast and corrected faster. And when something eventually needs replacing, your local mechanic can source the part the same day. You don't need a specialist. You don't need to call 3 dealerships. Consumer Reports has consistently rated the 3rd-generation Pilot above average for reliability, and J.D. Power's Vehicle Dependability Study backs that up with owner data. This is a workhorse that doesn't announce itself. That's exactly why it belongs on this list. Number 8, Acura RDX, 2013 to 2018. Pay close attention here because this one is genuinely underrated, and the used market hasn't fully caught on yet. The 2nd-generation Acura RDX is a completely different animal. from the third generation that came after it. When Acura redesigned the RDX for 2019, they introduced a turbocharged four-cylinder engine, a more complex transmission, and an infotainment system that owners on Reddit have been complaining about ever since. But the second gen, totally different story. It ran Honda's J-Series 3.5-liter V6, one of the most celebrated engines the company has ever built. Paired with a 6-speed automatic that mechanics describe as fundamentally straightforward to service. The only scheduled maintenance item worth flagging is the timing belt at 100,000 miles. Do that one service, and this engine will go another 100,000 miles without hesitation. The all-wheel drive system on this generation is also notably simpler than what Acura moved to later. Fewer electronic components, cheaper fluid services, fewer failure points. If you want genuine entry-level luxury, a quiet and refined cabin, and maintenance costs that average around $400 a year, the second-gen RDX is one of the best-kept secrets in the used car market right now. Number 7. Honda CR-V, 2012 to 2022. The CR-V deserves more credit than it gets in longevity conversations, specifically two versions of it. The earlier models with the 2.4-liter K-Series engine and the newer hybrid, the K24 engine in the older CR-V has a reputation on mechanic forums that borders on legendary. It's simple, it's smooth, and it's been in circulation long enough that virtually every technician in America has worked on one at some point. Annual maintenance costs on these average around $470. That's it. The newer hybrid version takes the durability argument even further. Honda's two-motor hybrid system eliminates the traditional transmission almost entirely. The electric motor connects directly to the wheels. Fewer moving parts means fewer things that can fail. Regenerative braking means your brake pads can realistically last 100,000 miles instead of the typical 40,000. According to iSeeCars, the CR-V ranks among the top vehicles for reaching 200,000 miles, with a statistically significant percentage of units in active service. Well, beyond that threshold, CR-V owners are a specific breed. You'll find threads on our cars with people at 230,000 miles asking whether they should finally trade it in. The answer they keep getting and accepting is no. Just keep driving it. Number 6. Mazda CX-5 2012 to today. The CX-5 deserves way more credit than it gets, and I'll tell you exactly why. Most people overlook it in these conversations. Mazda made a very deliberate engineering choice with this vehicle. Instead of chasing fuel economy numbers by shrinking the engine and bolting on a turbocharger, which is what most of the competition was doing, they built a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter with a high compression ratio and an exhaust configuration that extracts efficiency without the heat stress that turbocharging introduces over time. They called it Sky Active. It works. But here's the decision that really separates the CX-5 from a massive portion of its competition. In terms of long-term reliability, Mazda did not put a continuously variable transmission in this vehicle. While Nissan and Subaru were going all in on belt-driven continuously variable transmissions, Mazda said no and kept a traditional 6-speed torque converter automatic. That single engineering call eliminates one of the most common high-mileage failure points in modern SUVs. Consumer Reports gives the CX-5 reliability scores that consistently land in the top tier of the compact SUV segment. Annual maintenance costs average between $400 and $500. That's Toyota Corolla money for a vehicle that drives like something costing $10,000 more. Real quick, if you're finding this useful, hit that like button right now. It helps more people find this information before they make a $50,000 mistake. All right, we're halfway through, and this is where the list gets serious. Top 5. These aren't just reliable SUVs. These are vehicles that mechanics talk about in a different tone of voice entirely. Number 5. Toyota Highlander Hybrid, 2014 to today. 3 rows. Fuel efficient enough to embarrass most sedans, and built on the same bones as the Lexus RX. Toyota's approach with the Highlander has always been straightforward. Take what works, share it across multiple vehicles, and build it in large enough quantities that every potential flaw gets identified and corrected fast. The Highlander shares its engines, transmissions, and suspension components with the Lexus RX and the Toyota Sienna. When you're producing components at that scale, quality control becomes embedded in the process, rather than added at the end. The hybrid version is where the numbers get genuinely impressive. Toyota's electrically controlled continuously variable transmission sounds like a standard continuously variable transmission, but it is not. It uses a planetary gear set. Sounds like a standard continuously variable transmission. No belts, no bands, no clutches, just gears. Toyota has been running this same fundamental system since the original Prius. Some Highlander hybrid owners on the Consumer Reports Owner Survey are reporting 300,000 miles on the original hybrid battery and original transmission. Not a typo, 300,000 miles. And it returns 36 miles per gallon, combined while hauling a family of 7. That combination, 3 rows, legendary reliability, and fuel economy a midsize sedan. And fuel economy a midsize sedan would be proud of, is why families hold on to these for a decade and never look back. Number 4. Lexus RX, 2010 to 2022. This is the benchmark, the vehicle that set the standard for what a reliable luxury crossover actually looks like, and has held that standard for over 2 decades. The RX 350's 3.5-liter V6 is one of the most thoroughly tested engines Toyota has ever produced. It has been in continuous production long enough that every potential weakness has been identified, documented, and corrected. By the time you're buying one today, you're getting a powertrain that has been stress tested by millions of owners across hundreds of millions of miles. Here's the comparison that puts everything in perspective. Pull up the repair cost data on a 3rd or 4th generation Lexus RX at 100,000 miles. Then pull up the same data for a BMW X5 or an Audi Q7 at the same mileage. The German vehicles start sending you serious bills. At that point, air suspension failures, electronic control module issues, specialized brake components, cooling system repairs. The RX at 100,000 miles typically needs tires and fluid changes. That's it. According to Consumer Reports, the 3rd and 4th generation RX consistently earns reliability scores in the top 5%. Of all vehicles tested, owners describe it as a vehicle that simply works. They hold on to them because of it. Number 3. Toyota Sequoia, 2008 to 2022. The vehicle with arguably the most impressive raw numbers on this entire list. The 2nd generation Toyota Sequoia is built on the Tundra pickup truck platform. The axles, the frame, the cooling system, all of it was engineered for serious heavy-duty work. When you use a truck-grade platform primarily as a family hauler, those components are barely under stress for most of their working lives. They're operating at a fraction of their design load every single day. The 5.7-liter V8, under the hood, Toyota's 3URFE, has a reputation that mechanics talk about. The way baseball fans talk about perfect games. Tundra owners have taken this engine past 1 million miles. Not 100,000, 1 million. Toyota built it with an oversized cooling system and internal components that are simply heavier and more robust than the application strictly requires. That deliberate overbuilding is precisely why they last as long as they do. According to iSeeCars longevity research, approximately 39.1% of 2nd-generation Sequoias reach 250,000 miles. That's roughly 8 times higher than the industry average for vehicles reaching that milestone. Number 2. Lexus GX 460, 2010 to 2023. If you don't know the engineering secret behind this vehicle, you're about to. The GX 460 presents itself as a premium luxury SUV. Leather seats, wood trim, Lexus badge, country club ready. And it is all of that. But underneath every bit of that refinement sits a global Land Cruiser Prado. The same vehicle that international aid organizations, military contractors, and overland expedition teams depend on in environments where breaking down means you're stranded for days, with no cell signal and no roadside assistance coming. Toyota did not engineer this platform for American suburbs. They engineered it for places where survival depends on mechanical reliability. Then they added a Lexus interior and sent it to Houston. The 4.6-liter V8 paired with a 6-speed automatic has remained fundamentally unchanged across this entire generation. When you keep the same powertrain that long without major revision, you know every failure point in the system, and you fixed every single one of them. This engine runs reliably for hundreds of thousands of miles on basic oil changes. Even the suspension is done right. Lexus used a mechanical hydraulic stabilizer system with no electronic airbags at each corner, no sensors that go haywire in cold weather. No compressors that fail at 80,000 miles. Just a hydraulic system that does its job quietly and without complaint. Fewer electronics, fewer failures. That's the entire design philosophy. Here's what all 10 of these vehicles have in common. None of them got on this list by accident. They got here because of specific engineering decisions, made years before the vehicle ever reached a dealership. Decisions about engine architecture, transmission design, parts sharing strategy, and how much margin to build into every component. The best SUV you can buy is not the newest one. It's not the one with the most features. It's the one that was built right from the beginning. Before your next purchase, do yourself a favor. Pull up the iSeeCars longevity data. Read the Consumer Reports owner reliability surveys. Spend 20 minutes on Reddit's RR mechanic advice. And ask what the regulars actually see, coming through their bays week after week. That information is free. The mistake of ignoring it is not. If this video saved you from a bad decision, or confirmed you made a great one, hit subscribe. We break down real market data every week, so you can make smarter calls with your money. And drop a comment below. Did your SUV make the list? Let me know what you're driving.